Boaz fulfilled his promise. And this was the custom. Now, picking up at verse 7. Now, this was the custom in former times in Israel concerning the redeeming of and exchanging. To confirm a transaction, the one drew off his sandal and gave it to the other. This was a manner of testing in Israel. So when the Redeemer said to Israel, "Buy it yourself," he drew off his sandal. Then Boaz said to the elders and all the people, "You are witnesses this day that I have brought from the hand of Naomi all that belonged to Elimelech and all that belonged to Chilion and Mahlon. Also Ruth the Moabite, the widow of Mahlon, I have bought to be my wife, to perpetuate the name of the dead in his inheritance, that the name of the dead may not be cut off among his brothers, and from the gate of his native place. You are witnesses this day." 10 people. Did he need 10 witnesses? No. But the more people that saw it, the better it was. It's redeemed. The land is redeemed. Ruth is redeemed. Naomi is redeemed. All the work, all the goodness, all the things that they've done over the years, over the months and months that it took, all that sin's been washed away. All that negative aspects gone with this one moment. Then all the people who were at the gate and the elders said, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make the woman who is coming into the house like Rachel and Leah, who together built up the house of Israel. May you act worthily in Epaphrath and be renowned in Bethlehem. And may your house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah. Because of the offspring the Lord will give you this young woman." So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And he went into her, and the Lord gave her conception, and she bore a son. And then the women said to Naomi, "Blessed be the Lord, who has not left you this day without a redeemer. May his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life, a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has given birth to him." Then Naomi took the child and laid him on her lap and became his nurse. And the women of the neighborhood gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi." They named him Obed. He was the father of Jesse, the father of David. Wow. It's an exciting time. They never once do you hear them say, "Praise Ruth." Ruth, you are blessed. Never once do you hear them say, "Yeah, Ruth did a great job. You worked hard." No, they gave the glory to who? First of all, they gave it to Boaz, because he was the Redeemer. He was the one who redeemed. They gave it to Naomi, because that was the one that Naomi was the elder of the 2 women, and she was the one who was in most need of it. They gave the glory most of all to God, the ruler of Israel. I think it was hard to figure out where to go. What's the punchline here? What is the main point of tonight's talk? And I think it is sometimes we've been talking about valuing people ourselves, giving people of our same level of value. We've been talking about giving people below us value. And those are important. We've been talking about, last week we talked about just asking for redemption and getting it. But ultimately, the glory of redemption doesn't come from anything that we do. The glory of redemption, the power of redemption doesn't come from anything that we have done. Nothing Ruth did got her redemption. But everything Ruth did got her redemption. Wow, that sounds backwards. She proved that nothing that she did. The redemption came when Boaz gave it to her. When Boaz treated her right. I said I was going to talk about some allegorical stuff here. And you know what allegory is? College people in the room. Anybody who doesn't know what allegory is? An allegory is in a story where one thing stands for another thing. One character represents somebody else. And let's look at this in an allegorical sense. First of all, we find ourselves in Ruth. Worthless people trying to find worth and value and redemption. We are shackled with the bonds of sin. We've got the bad, negative aspects of our lives, and we need to be separated by that. Paul calls us slaves to sin and righteousness. So slaves to sin. Yeah. Not and righteousness. We're slaves to sin. And there's nothing we can do to break our own bonds, right? Nothing I can do can make myself any more holy than I am now. And believe me, there are people who've tried. There are people who climb up on poles and stay there for 10, 12 weeks at a time so they can separate themselves from the world so they can be more holy. Good luck. They're more stinky. There are people who don't take baths so other people won't come around them so they can be, back away from, keep sin far from them. There are people who follow rules and regulations and laws and says if I just do X, Y, and Z and A and B and C and D and whatever, I will be saved and holy. Nothing they can do by themselves. Then we look at this. I was reading somebody's commentary on this chapter, this verse, this section, and we were talking about there's another Redeemer. There's somebody else before Boaz. Somebody else. And they said that other person is the law. That other person represents the law of God. We know what that is. That's the first first 5 books of the Bible. The Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the 10 Commandments, and the 2,000 other Mishnahs about the commandments, or whatever. That's just a small one number. I'm pretty sure there's more. The Pharisees looked and they thought they had to follow every dot and tittle, everything that somebody said about the law they had to do. You had to wash your hands at the right time before dinner. And that was not just to get germs off. That was because it was ceremonial. You had to... They have laws that says you can only walk so far away from your house on the Sabbath. Any further than that, you're working. You can't work on the Sabbath. You got to stay home. There are laws of every single portion of the law they had to follow. And then if we do everything the law requires, we shall be saved. Can we follow every part of the law? Can we? The book of James says, if you're guilty of breaking one part of the law, you're guilty of breaking it all. God says Paul said in Romans, the wages of sin is death. Breaking the law is sin. So, wow. So if you're guilty of stealing, but it's only a little lie. I didn't kill anybody. Well, technically. Jesus said that if you even think in your heart, so you've done it. So, there's no way we can follow every part of the law. There's no way. So the law was an incomplete redeemer. It couldn't bring us where we needed to be. All the sacrifices in the world. We sacrifice the sheep one year, you got to come back the next year and do it again. You screw up sometime in the middle of that, you got to make another special sacrifice. It was an incomplete redeemer. And God knew that. God knew it wasn't